washed out. I've not eaten properly for days, and drinking water is nowhere to be found. I ran out of water in my water bottle a few days ago. Our battalion went to France with the BEF, or the British Expeditionary Force, as part of the 6th Brigade, 2nd Division. We arrived in Cherbourg on the 24th September 1939. We spent the winter and spring working on defensive line facing neutral Belgium. When Jerry invaded the Low Countries on the 10th of May 1940, our battalion were in training. But we were rushed to the village of Otterberg as reserve to the 6th Brigade. On the 14th of May, we first made contact with Jerry on the River Dyle at Otterberg. Our forward company was subjected to intense mortar fire and a series of unsuccessful attacks through the day. While this was going on, our CSM, or Company Sergeant Major, told us that Jerry had broken through near Sedan. This was threatening our southern flank of the BEF. Orders were received for our battalion to withdraw. This came on the night of the 14th and 15th of May, I believe. We had been promised trucks to carry us back to the River Escaut, but these failed to arrive. So we had to make a withdrawal on foot. While marching, meals were hurried, and irregular rations were frequently supplemented by slaughtered livestock. Nothing interfered with our battalion's ability to march though. In one period of 30 hours, we covered 40 miles without leaving a single straggler behind. Late on the 18th, the trucks eventually arrived and took us to Tournai on the Escaut. There, we held the river line for 40 hours. The whole time, we were all being heavily shelled and bombed by Stuka dive bombers. On the 20th, Jerry again was looking to outflank the BEF. We received further orders to again withdraw to a rest area near Bethune. This break for us only lasted 2 hours, before we were ordered back into action to recapture 4 bridges over the Bassy Canal, south of Saint Fantnant. I think that's what it's called. This is where a new defensive line was to be established. The distance between the 4 bridges is 3 miles. Too much for one fit battalion, never mind a battle-weary one with no support. On the 24th of May, we made our first assault. It was clear to us all we were facing a far superior armoured force. Our battalion advanced westward, parallel to the Canal de la Ris, on our right. We took the hamlet of St. Flores, but we could not force our way to St. Venant. Meanwhile, I saw D Company run into an ambush and suffered heavy casualties. Next morning, B Company took the village of Robert, south of St. Venant. I could see the lads advance in open order, using fire and movement by platoons. A copybook exercise culminating in a bayonet charge. Unfortunately, although they reached one of the bridges just beyond the village, I could see that they had found themselves surrounded and besieged, with 3 or 4 officers being wounded. They held the village until darkness, when survivors broke out in small parties. We again attacked a number of times, but were pushed back by Jerry with their armour. We received terrible casualties. Another withdrawal was the inevitable outcome. By this time, my heart was broken. I could not stop myself from feeling as if I wanted to burst into tears. The battalion was by now effectively wiped out. St. Venant and La Bassy is at the southernmost point of the Dunkirk corridor, which is being kept open by a collection of regular and scratch units. A heroic defence of villages and towns such as La Bassy, the Paradis, Castle, Wormolt and Bruges brought time needed to allow the bulk of the BEF and the 16th French Army Corps to begin evacuation from the Dunkirk pocket. On the order to withdraw, we had lost 759 lads, with only 3 officers and 80 of us making it to Dunkirk. The road to Dunkirk is littered with cast-off equipment. Nothing too big, nothing too small. It was all there. The army vehicles which we were leaving behind is being burnt out to deny their use to Jerry. There is sufficient kit to keep an army and navy stores supplied for 100 years or more. There are vehicles of all kinds, large artillery pieces with their barrels spiked to lightweight tanks sticking up out of the waterways. The sight of all these valuable military pieces was depressing to me. It told the story of an army routed and defeated. Soon, what was left of us had entered the main port of Dunkirk, which appeared mostly to be in flames, and a loud dismal sound of collapsing buildings reverberated through the empty streets. As we walked through, it appeared there had just been an air raid. Dunkirk was in ruins. The roads were cratered everywhere, and tram lines stood on end where many of the bombs had landed. The corpses of mutilated soldiers lay everywhere, and the smell of burning flesh was sickening. What was left of us were told to carry on moving. We all made our way over the sand dunes and moved along the Pan, I believe it's called, which is a little to the right of Dunkirk itself. On getting here, I was speechless. What I saw made me lost for words. There are hundreds and hundreds of soldiers on the sand, and ships coming in, trying to pick them up. There are so many. I thought, they'll never get these lads off here. I did see the most magnificent bit of British discipline here. As I moved forward, I could see lads in the water. They stood in rows of 4. They stood in the water. The tide came in, and they went up to their chests, and then went out. And then it came back. I was there for 3 tides, and staying there at night. Of course, there was the odd lad who left the road for obvious purposes to nip back over the sand dunes. But when he came back, a hand would go up. Over here was the surreal but terribly British call. I was watching in horror as I saw Stuka dive bombers. They were diving with that horrific scream, which was sending utter terror inside me. They came down screaming and were knocking out the little boats that were trying to come in to the rows of lads waiting to be picked up. In the close distance, I saw a destroyer, actually packed with men on board, take a direct hit. It was upsetting to see it roll over on its side, with explosions and men falling into the water. I could hear screams from them thrashing about the deck. Many of them can't swim, I'm sure. By now, it appeared to be every man for himself. Slowly, we were losing lads to not only the relentless Stuka attacks and machine gun strafing by Messerschmitts, but Jerry was now so sufficiently close that they are shelling the beach. We're getting it always. We have tried already to get in one of the small boats ourselves, but with no joy. Hope has just come over. We're all to move out. He thinks we can try our luck on the ships coming in on the East Mole. Right, move out lads. Oh, come on, Di. Get up, boyo. Don't you want to get home?